Welcome to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. Good morning, fellow podcasters. Here we are again on another episode of Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. Again, I'm your host, Shane Lakita, and here we are for another episode of us just sitting together, talking about stuff over cups of coffee, where we can just talk about life, and we talk about trying to be able to accomplish great things and trying to be able to achieve goals that you're set out for yourself, trying to be able to be the best versions of ourselves and do everything that's possible. That's the purpose of this. That's the reason why we do this podcast right here, to be able to better ourselves. And it's to be able to go through life itself, which can deal some really crappy cards sometimes. But if we could sit down with somebody and just have a conversation or just talk about the journey itself, the struggles, the ups, the downs, the strengths, the weaknesses, all the things together, it really gives you a sense of purpose and community where we can just talk with each other and be able to pull each other through and hold each other accountable and lift each other up whenever we need it, whenever we're feeling kind of low. And that's one of the great things about this podcast is that any given time you can just log right in. You can push a little play button and be able to listen to me talking about my journey, which is therapeutic in itself for me, but it also helps others, which is amazing in itself, and it's humbling, and it just really, it gives me purpose of why I'm doing it every single day or every single time that I log in to be able to record an episode of Coffee Talk. And that way, I know that there's purpose behind what we're doing here, and we're helping others, and we're lifting each other up, and we're doing a lot of great things. So that's the purpose of the podcast. So you're here for a reason, and I'm hoping I didn't lose you really quickly, but here we are on Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973. So let's go ahead and get started with the podcast. Okay, folks, so it's you and me, and you can hear that music just fading out into the second segment of this podcast. And I just wanted to cover a couple things with you guys, okay, before we get into the really big meat and potatoes of the podcast. So first of all, I'm going to be throwing a party. Yep, Jonathan Mud Hustler and I are going to be going out to Scottsdale, Arizona on the 4th of May, where we're going to be throwing a huge party in the Valley Ho Hotel, where we're going to be in the desert partying with everybody that's out there that's coming out to this party, that we're going to be having some food, having some drink, having some dancing, enjoying each other, lifting each other up, giving hugs, and having a great time out in the desert in Scottsdale. So this is the first time I'm ever going to go to Arizona. And as you have heard in my previous podcast, this is a West Coast trip that my family and I are going to be taking after the event itself. But if you're interested in tickets to go to the event itself at the hotel on the evening of the 4th from like 7 till about midnight, where we're going to be eating, having some good food, enjoying each other's company, giving away some awards from the No Finish Line Nation community. And if you don't know what that is a closed Facebook group. If you want to pop over to Facebook and be able to just kind of check it out and see what's going on with it, you can actually see a lot of really inspirational people that are struggling at times, that are winning at times, that are lifting each other up and doing a lot of what this podcast does, but it's in a Facebook format, and we run it pretty tight ship over there to make sure that you feel safe and you feel like you're in a good place of where you're at. So that community of No Finish Line Nation actually created this event, and we wanted to be able to do something with some folks that are in like minds and can get together. And we got some great sponsors with Devotion Nutrition, with Western Bagel, with Dan Enlightened Fit. So we've got some really good sponsors that are on board, along with Liquidshano 1973 and Mud Hustler, to be able to throw a party and a bash out there in Arizona. So if you're interested in getting tickets, I'm going to post a link right in the body of this podcast. If you're looking at the Podbean or even through iTunes, you should be able to see it pop right up on your display or whatever platform that you're listening to this on. And we're going to be able to sell the tickets for you to be able to go to the event that's there. If you're West Coast, if you're out in California, if you're out in Arizona, Texas, wherever, and you can just hop in the car and pop over on a Saturday night to be able to enjoy the night and have a party and bring a guest and just enjoy yourself. Come on out, enjoy yourself. It's going to be a really, really great time. So that's the first thing I wanted to cover with you guys. And it's called NFL Inspiration. It's a great gathering that we're going to be able to do together. Second part is the Patreon. So I've been telling you guys a little bit about Patreon. I've got about 7 or 8 different people that have actually become patrons of the show. If you are interested in donating to the show or subscribing to the show and then receiving some really cool Liquidshano 1973 swag, you can go to www.patreon.com/Liquid Coffee Talk, and you can sign up for a one-time donation or a monthly service or whatever you wanted to do, just to be able to help elevate the performance of this podcast, to be able to get some better recording stuff. And I've talked about it in the past, maybe even rent out some studios or some recording equipment that I can go and do interviews with people outside of over Skype or anything like that. I can actually do on-location audio recordings that we can sit down and talk about the podcast and everything else. And then there's also going to be some exclusive content and all kinds of great stuff that's going to be coming out through the Patreon service. So if you want to become a patron, that's how you do it. Okay, so let's get right into this podcast. Yesterday, I posted a coffee talk on the social media platforms, so Instagram and Facebook and other places. In the visual that I actually put out there, it was an image that basically said, "This is your world, shape it or someone else will." So the reason I did this is because there was a couple things that came up in my life over the last few days around competition. Now, I work in the cellular phone industry and I work in sales. So I work in this industry that competition is something that's huge. It's all around us. It's every direction you can think of. And everybody is out there trying to be able to take your spot on top and trying to be able to cut you down at the knees and be able to do everything that they can to be able to win in the marketplace. And competition in that aspect of it is you need to be on your game. So here I am in business, here I am in sales, here I work for a company where I'm part of a rural carrier, which isn't one of the big, huge boys that are out there, but I'm part of the rural carrier that basically fights and claws and scrapes and is able to service a lot of our rural areas that are in the country that aren't serviced by some of the bigger carriers. But there's still so much competition around that because they are moving in those areas because it's untapped potential. Now, these big boys are walking in there going, we're going to undercut you in price. We're going to undercut you in the fact that we can give you maybe some more devices, some more options, more people to sell, all the different things that they can actually come to the table with. And they're competition. And they're going to come in and they're going to try to take over whatever you have built around and whatever successful area that you've built. And competition can breed one of two things. One of them is it can breed excellence and it can also breed defeat. And it's the same exact concept of what we talk about in our journeys. You know, if you're not going to go and take what's yours, somebody else is going to go do it. Somebody else will come in and they're going to go ahead and take it over and do what they have to do to sell a better product or do a better thing. Now, in our journeys, I try to translate this over to what we're doing here in our health journeys. So if you're a hiker, if you're somebody that likes to bike ride, or somebody that wants to achieve goals, there's only one person that's going to get in your way. And it's not competition of other people. It's only one person, and that's you. You're the only person that can get in your way. At the end of the day, who's the only person that can achieve the goals that you want to achieve? It's you. Who's the only person that's going to hold you back from achieving the goals that you want to be able to achieve? That, again, is you. We blame it on others. We blame it on other things. We blame it on other forces, on outside interference. We blame it on life. We blame it on family. We blame it on whatever the situation is. But the only person that stops you or hinders you from getting to where you have to get to, or where you want to get to, or where your heart tells you that you want to be, is you. That's it. And I know it's plain and simple to hear that, but it's the truth. Because I know at the end of the day, nobody else is going to help me get to where I have to get to except for me. And when I talk about competition with the whole entire other aspect of it, I just kind of correlate the two together. If I've got competition in business that's trying to come in and take over whatever situation that's rightfully mine, The customers that I'm servicing are rightfully mine. I've earned those customers, and I've earned the right to be able to have them in my portfolio and be able to service those customers and then also make profit off the customers and do all the things that we have to do, but also deliver for the customers. And we've earned that right. We've earned the right to do so. And if I'm not stepping my game up to be able to do so, I'm going to lose that. Now, here's where I tie it back into where we're at with our health journey and with our fitness journeys and with our professional journeys and whatever else. If I'm not on point with my game and I'm not doing the things that are necessary for me to do, I'm going to lose it. Now, I'm not losing it to competitors, but I am going to lose it to me not being able to accomplish the things that I want to be able to accomplish, just based on the simple fact that I'm not on my game. And I'm not pushing forward, and I'm not challenging myself, and I'm not being a better version of myself, and I'm not doing everything that I need to do that's possible, that I need to be able to continue to focus on to be able to achieve great things. I'm my own barrier. I'm my own obstacle. Me. Now, it's interesting because you wouldn't think that, right? You set a goal for yourself. You put it on paper. You dream about things you wanted to be able to accomplish. So maybe it's you wanted to lose 100 pounds. Or maybe it's you wanted to lose 75. Or maybe it's something that you wanted to do by a professional goal that you wanted to be able to set out for yourself. You wanted to be a director or a area manager or something that you wanted to be able to move out of the lower level tier of where you're at now into the next role. And you set those goals for yourself. Now, these are not negative things that you're setting out for yourself. These are all positive things. So if it's weight loss, it's because you want to be healthier. If it's running a marathon, it's because you want to be able to accomplish great things for yourself. Whatever it is that you're doing, they're not negative things. They're all positive things. So you wouldn't think that if you set yourself up for positive things moving forward, that you wouldn't be able to accomplish them, right? You wouldn't think that you would be your own worst critic, or you would be your biggest obstacle, or you would be the person standing in the way of you achieving the things that you wanted to be able to accomplish and achieve. So that's where the real root cause of a lot of our problems comes from, is us. You know, even if we blame it on other people, let's say, for instance, we're trying to lose weight or we're being healthy. And then we know we're going to a dinner, we're going out with somebody, we're going to have like a party of like 6 or 7 people that are there. And you in your own mind are thinking to yourself, I've got to map out my meals, I've got to map out my calories, I got to map out what I'm eating, I've got to be on point with everything. And you're like all ready to go, and you're in the zone, and you're all set and ready to go. And then you think to yourself, all of a sudden, that little gross voice that's in the back of our heads goes, oh, don't you think you're going to be made fun of by some of the folks around the table because they're eating cheesecake, or they're eating some prime rib, or they're eating ribeye steaks and you're not? And they're going to be looking at you going, oh, yeah, okay, so you're not eating, oh, that's right, you're doing all that healthy stuff. Oh, you can't just cheat for just one day. Oh, you can't just keep on moving forward and enjoy the moment. Or you have to restrict yourself, or whatever else that's there. And then you start saying all those voices in your head, and then you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't know if I really even want to go to dinner tonight. I don't even know if I want to be able to do it. And then if you do go, how often do we get in the space of going, oh, well, you know what? F it. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to eat that cheesecake, and I'm just going to eat that thing. And then we get off point and we go off the rails, and then we think to ourselves, you know, I set myself up for success. I planned, I prepared, I did everything I had to do, and then I got in my own way. I got in my own way. I talked myself out of it. I had these conversations with myself that probably were never going to really happen. We might think that they're going to happen. We might, make the worst case scenario happen. So we get in front of it, and then when something fattening or whatever at the table comes into play, you're thinking to yourself, well, I probably should just eat it because I don't want to cause a scene, and I don't want anybody sitting there making fun of me or whatever else. Now, anybody on the outside of the weight loss related portion of what I'm talking about here might not be able to relate, or maybe you can, but this is the reality. This is a reality, and we talk to ourselves all the time. We talk ourselves out of things all the time when it comes to these types of things. And 9 times out of 10, it's all fabricated in our minds. We're generating all of this negativity in our own brains, thinking to ourselves that we can't do something, or something bad's going to happen, or the sky's going to fall, or something not good is going to go down. And we set ourselves up for failure with that because we start to kind of paint the picture and create our destination in a negative fashion, which we shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, you control your own destiny. You control what happens with you. Just like I said in the beginning of this podcast, you are in control of you. We may not think so. We may think we're a product of all the different things that are happening all around us. And we may think that we're a product of any negativity or whatever negative situation that life throws at you or whatever. We think that we are a product of all that. But at the end of the day, we are in control of that. Which do you choose? Which direction are you going to take? Which path are you going to go? Are you going to go down the path of negativity and the path of I can't accomplish things and self-deprecation or self-loathing or any of those things down that path? Or are you going to go down the path of, you know what? I don't really care what my mind is telling me right now about the negative side of it. I'm going to accomplish the things that I want to. And if I go to that dinner with those 6 or 7 people and I'm going to stick to my guns and I've already planned out what my meals are going to be, I'm going to be proud of it. I'm going to live in the moment. And if anybody does say anything, screw them. What does it matter to them? Is this their journey? No, it's mine. It's my journey, not theirs, mine. So you control what happens to you. And we get in the space so often of letting life control us versus us controlling life. And this is where it takes work and it takes dedication and it takes tenacity and it takes patience. Oh, does it take patience? I don't know how often I'm sitting back going, man, I just want to get there. I just want to achieve the goals that I want to be able to accomplish. At the end of the day, I'm just going to be honest with you here. This is just from me to you. I don't really know if there's ever an end game. We created a group called No Finish Line Nation on the other end of Facebook over there I was telling you earlier about. And the reason we came up with the title of No Finish Line Nation is because there isn't a finish line. It continues to go. We can have small goals and we can achieve those small goals and we can keep going for those. But those small goals continue to add to bigger things that we want to be able to accomplish. So if I wanted to lose 100 pounds and I get to that 100 pounds and whoa, yes, this is it. I hit my goal. I'm awesome. This is awesome. But now you have more goals that you want to accomplish and other things that you want to be able to do. Maybe it's a whole new journey of what you wanted to be able to achieve life or do things in life when you're 100 pounds lighter than what you are because you couldn't accomplish those before or whatever it is. And life just keeps on churning. So you need to set more goals for yourself and you need to accomplish things that you want to accomplish and go for the things you want to go for and be a great version of yourself because you deserve it. You control what happens to you. So are you just going to let life pass you by? Are you just going to be a fly on the wall and let everybody else achieve the things that you wanted to be able to accomplish? This is where I was tying back to the whole competition thing. If I've got the big boy carriers coming down, knocking down my door, trying to take over my customers and the customers that I've earned the right to be able to service and earned the right to be able to have in my portfolio, and I'm not delivering an amazing experience for those customers, I deserve to lose them. It's the same thing. If I'm not willing to put the work in and I'm not setting myself up for success and believing in myself and fighting for the things that I wanted to fight for and be the best version of me that I can be, then I don't deserve it. Now, listen, I also understand there are times that are going to come into play that we're just in a bad spot. Your mind takes over. You start getting into a rut. You start not feeling that great about yourself. You start doing those things. Listen, I fully understand all of those things. Maybe life just has dealt you way too many bad cards, and you got 5 of them in a row that are just happening. You know, your family issues go on, or you got a car accident. You got bills that are coming into play. You're facing bankruptcy, or you're getting layoffs at the job, or whatever else. I get all of that. I really do. I'm not trying to sell those short. Trust me, because that's life, and that's a reality of what's going to happen. What I'm working on is what my mindset around all that noise is. If you got so much garbage going on in your life and so much bad situations being thrown at you, the only thing that you can control is how you respond, act, and feel during those times. That's it. You're the only person that's in control of that. So if you're in the morning and you're waking up and you're like, oh, you know what, I've got a long day ahead of me, or I've got stuff going on around me, there's a lot of noise, there's all this stuff. If you're not setting yourself up for success in the morning, where you're sitting down going, okay, let's take inventory here, guys. It may seem like a lot of bad stuff's going on in my life, but here's some good things that are going on. Here's the bad things. Here's the things that I can accomplish. Here's the things that I can do today. And I can, even if they're small little things, I still feel like I'm moving forward and I'm getting successful in that space. And I'm setting myself up for success slowly but surely in small incremental amounts to make sure at the end of the day, I feel like I'm accomplished and I feel like I've achieved something in life. It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small and minor on those days where you just can only achieve small and minor things because there's so much noise going on around you. But focus on those little things. Focus on the little things that you can accomplish. Trust me, it's only going to be better for you when you move forward. I do this all the time for myself because I get in the negative space. I do. I get in the negative space of all these things I'm trying to be able to accomplish, all these goals I'm trying to be able to do. I'm just trying to be a great dad, a great husband. And then I sell myself short. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not really accomplishing all the things that I want to. I'm not being the best version of me. I start to beat myself up, all those things. I get it. Take the time that's necessary for you to focus on you. Okay? That's what this whole thing is about. You got to work on your craft of being your biggest supporter. You got to work on your job. Think about it that way. That's your job. Your job is to be your biggest supporter. Shane's job is to be Shane's biggest supporter. Your version of whatever life that you want to be able to accomplish is only going to get accomplished by having supporters in your corner. And guess who the only supporter that you can trust, the only supporter that you can count on, the only supporter that can be consistent is you. Because people change. People go up and down. People have versions of themselves that maybe they're not being supportive or maybe they're not feeling that great about themselves or whatever else. And people are all over the place. You can't rely on others to be your supporter. You can't. You can have a good group of friends, don't get me wrong. You can have some people that do support you, absolutely, 100%. But at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, who's going to be that person that's talking to yourself negative? Or who's going to be that person that's getting you in a bad place where you might go down that road of getting into a binge fest where you're going to eat 17,000 Oreo cookies or 2 Boston cream pies? Who's going to be the person that brings you out of that? That's you. And if you're not at the place where you can do it mentally, where you got some issues going on, go get the help that's necessary. Go talk to somebody. Go see a therapist. Go do something to set your path forward the right direction to making sure that you're your number one supporter. You're your number one cheerleader because you are in control of you. And that's really the theme of this whole entire podcast. At the end of the day, when you're looking in the mirror and you're stepping up and you're staring at yourself in the morning or in the evening, and you're assessing how you feel about yourself, assessing how your day went, assessing about what your day is going to go like, all those things. And we're looking at all those things all combined together. And we're staring at ourselves in those crucial moments where we can take the right path or the left path of being positive or negative. The time is then to be able to go down the positive road and be proud of what you've accomplished and be proud of what direction you're moving in and set yourself up for success. Give yourself some goals and small little targets to be able to accomplish just to feel good about yourself again instead of getting down the negative space. So to close this all out, you are in control of your own destiny. Don't let life take control over you. You are the one that can be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest advocate, your biggest lifter-upper, your biggest person that's going to lift you and bring you to the direction that you want to be able to go and achieve the great things that you want to accomplish. Okay? Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk soon. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquidshano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.